Commander Zilax watched the sanctuary gate refuse to budge for the sixth consecutive hour and seriously considered whether the universe had decided to personally humiliate him. 3 full battalions of Crothian warriors, each capable of lifting a combat transport, strained against the ancient barrier with enough combined force to crack a moon's crust. The gate didn't even shiver. "Sir, the resonance channelers report another failure," Captain Vexia announced, her secondary arms gesturing helplessly at the mystical specialists who'd collapsed from exhaustion. "The quantum locks won't respond to any harmonic frequency we've attempted." "That's 47 different approaches," Zilax growled, his crest flattening in frustration. Behind the gate lay the Eternal Archive, the last surviving repository of knowledge from 10,000 extinct civilizations. Inside those halls, researchers desperately needed access to plague documentation that could save billions. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Every minute they wasted here, the death toll climbed across 3 star systems. The siege equipment sat uselessly deployed around the gate like monuments to failure. Hydraulic rams that could breach fortress walls had bent against the barrier's surface. Plasma cutters that sliced through battleship armor hadn't scratched the ancient metal. The gate stood exactly as immovable as it had 6 hours ago when High Command had sent them on this routine access mission. "Routine," Zilax muttered bitterly. A human walked past, carrying a coffee cup. Zilax barely registered her presence, some colonist from the settlement on Kaeldrim's southern continent, probably taking a shortcut through the fortress grounds. She was young, dressed in casual clothing with a name tag that read Charlotte, humming something melodic while scrolling through her datapad. The human, Charlotte, reached the sanctuary gate, which blocked the entire corridor. She glanced up, noticed the obstacle, and without breaking stride, kicked the gate with her foot while muttering, "Excuse me?" The sanctuary gate, which had resisted 6 hours of assault by 300 elite warriors, mystical channelers, and industrial siege equipment, swung open with a soft click. Charlotte walked through, still humming. The corridor fell silent except for the fading sound of her footsteps. Zilax's mind went blank. Around him, warriors stood frozen in poses of exertion, their muscles still bulging uselessly. Siege equipment hummed idly. A resonance channeler made a small whimpering sound. Vexia's voice came out strangled. "Did that just—" "High Command," Zilax activated his emergency communicator with shaking hands. "We have an unauthorized breach of the sanctuary gate. Security protocols have been compromised. The barrier it's open." "What?" The voice of Admiral Korvax crackled through. "You're telling me you finally succeeded?" "No, sir. A human opened it." "What do you mean a human opened it?" "You have 3 battalions." "She kicked it, sir." Silence on the line. "She kicked it. While walking. She didn't even stop walking." More silence. "Sir, requesting immediate protocol guidance." The human appeared to bypass 6 hours of our combined efforts with a casual kick during her afternoon stroll. Charlotte had stopped about 30 meters down the corridor and was turning around, looking confused. "Hey, did you guys need to get in there or something?" Every warrior's head swiveled toward her in perfect synchronization. Zilax found his voice, though it sounded distant to his own ears. How did you open that gate?" Charlotte walked back toward them, sipping her coffee. "Open what?" "Oh, the door?" She gestured at the sanctuary gate with her cup. "It was stuck. I just gave it a little tap." "A little tap." Zilax repeated the words, but couldn't make them mean anything. "That gate requires the combined strength of 50 warriors minimum. It's been refusing our access for 6 standard hours. We deployed siege equipment. We brought mystical specialists. Nothing worked." Charlotte looked at the warriors. then at the siege equipment, then at the collapsed channelers, then back at Zilax. Her expression suggested she thought he might be joking. Okay, but it was just stuck. I pushed where it looked stuck and it opened. Were you guys pulling on it or something? The gate doesn't have a stuck location, Vexia interjected, stepping forward. It's a quantum-locked barrier that requires precise harmonic resonance, synchronized with physical force calibrated to... Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I understood maybe 3 words of that, Charlotte interrupted cheerfully. But the door opened when I kicked it, so maybe it wasn't as complicated as you thought. Vexia's combat tentacles twitched in agitation. Young human, this gate has protected the Eternal Archive for 3,000 years. It is not a door that responds to being kicked. Except it literally just did that, Charlotte pointed out reasonably. Zilax felt his worldview developing cracks. Show me. Open it again. Charlotte shrugged. Sure? She walked to the gate, which had remained open, and kicked it gently in the other direction. It swung closed with the same soft click. Then she kicked it again. It opened. See? Just stuck. Probably needs some oil or whatever. It doesn't use oil. Vexia's voice had climbed an octave. It operates on quantum-locked gravitational principles that... Charlotte kicked it closed, then open again. Working pretty smooth now, though. Zilax activated the communication array. Jotaro, get down here immediately. Bring your resonance scanning equipment, all of it. Within minutes, Jotaro arrived with enough scanning equipment to analyze a small planet. The specialist was one of the galaxy's leading experts on ancient barrier technology, with 4 doctorates and 200 years of experience. He set up his instruments with practiced efficiency, his multiple ocular sensors already analyzing the gate. Commander, preliminary scans show the gate functioning within normal parameters, Jotaro announced. Quantum locks are stable, harmonic requirements unchanged, gravitational anchoring at standard resistance levels. Test the human, Zilax ordered. Charlotte sighed. I really need to get to work. My shift starts in 20 minutes. Miss Charlotte, this is a matter of galactic security, Zilax said with as much patience as he could muster. Please cooperate. Fine, but if I'm late, you're calling my manager. Jotaro directed Charlotte to stand near a scanning platform. Please, attempt to open the gate again while I monitor the energy signatures. Charlotte walked over and kicked it open. Like this? Jotaro's sensors flashed wildly. Impossible! This makes no sense. The readings... He trailed off, recalibrating his equipment with frantic gestures. What? Vexia demanded. The human is producing an energy signature that destabilizes the quantum locks, but it's not active energy projection. She's somehow absorbing the gate's defensive frequencies. The barrier recognizes her as non-threatening? No, that's not right either. It's as if... As if what? Zilax pressed. As if the gate doesn't consider her an attempted breach. The quantum locks don't engage because from the gate's perspective she's just passing through, like the gate doesn't think it needs to stop her. Charlotte laughed. That sounds completely made up. I just kicked a door, my dude. It is not made up, Jotaro insisted, his academic pride wounded. The quantum signature readings are conclusive, though I admit I don't understand the mechanism. Zilax felt a horrible suspicion forming. Bring more humans, now! Over the next hour, the fortress grounds became host to an impromptu scientific experiment. Someone had rounded up every human from the southern colony settlement and brought them to test against the sanctuary gate. David Wilson, a maintenance worker in his 40s, opened the gate one-handed while discussing sports scores with another colonist. Emma Rodriguez, a teenager who'd been dragged away from her video games, opened it with her shoulder while texting, didn't look up, and walked through without noticing everyone staring at her. A human child, approximately 8 years old and tagging along with their parent, asked where the bathroom was and accidentally opened not just the sanctuary gate, but also the ancient vault. 3 corridors down, a vault that required 100 warriors minimum and hadn't been accessed in 50 years. "The bathroom's not in there, sweetie," their parent called out, gently steering the child away from the vault that had just opened like it was welcoming an old friend. Zillax sat down on the floor. His legs wouldn't hold him anymore. "High Command, this is Commander Zillax, requesting emergency council session. We have a situation." Admiral Korvax's voice carried through the communicator. "Define situation." "Humans can bypass all our ancient security measures. All of them. Effortlessly. Including barriers that have protected critical sites for thousands of years. One of them opened the sanctuary gate while drinking coffee. Another opened it while texting. A child opened the ancient vault looking for a bathroom. That's impossible. I watched it happen, sir, repeatedly, with multiple humans. None of them think it's unusual." A new voice entered the communication. Council member Talana. "How are they doing this? What technology are they using?" Charlotte, who'd been waiting impatiently nearby, overheard. "Technology? Dude, we're just opening doors. Things usually open if you're trying to get through them. That's like their whole deal." "Their whole deal," Zillax repeated numbly. "Yeah, doors exist to let people through. So they open." "What's confusing about this?" Vexia, who'd been silently processing the last hour's events, finally spoke. "How do you protect anything on your world if barriers don't stop you?" Charlotte blinked. "We ask nicely, post guards, put up signs that say, 'Please don't enter.' Most people don't try to break into stuff because that's rude and illegal." "Signs," Vexia said flatly, "that say please." "I mean, yeah. We have some serious locks for banks and important facilities, but mostly we just trust people won't be jerks. Security is more like a suggestion combined with social pressure and legal consequences." Jotaro had been analyzing data frantically. "Commander, I think I understand what's happening. Our security, all galactic security, is built on the principle that sufficient force overcomes any barrier. We create locks that resist force, so attempted breaches require even more force. It's an arms race of resistance and power." "That's logical security doctrine," Zillax said, confused where this was going. "But humans don't operate on that principle. They don't see barriers as things to overcome through force. They see them as guidance. Their entire psychology treats security as consensual rather than confrontational. When a human approaches a door, they're not thinking about overcoming its resistance. They're thinking about whether they're allowed through. If they feel they have legitimate reason to pass, they just pass. And apparently, reality responds to that. Reality responds to human politeness? Vexia sounded like she was developing a migraine. "The ancient civilizations that built these gates were highly advanced," Jotaro continued, his academic excitement growing despite the horror of his conclusions. "They clearly understood something we forgot. These barriers weren't designed to stop force. They were designed to read intent. The sanctuary gate knows the warriors are trying to force it, so it resists. Humans just want to get through for legitimate reasons, so it allows them." Charlotte had been following this with growing amusement. "So you've been trying to intimidate your own doors for thousands of years?" "We've been applying proper security protocols," Vexia protested, "by yelling at doors with your muscles." "That is not— We don't," Vexia spluttered. "Proper entry requires authorization codes, genetic verification, security clearances." "Did you say please?" Charlotte asked. Stunned silence. "Did you say please to the door?" "Why would we say please to a security barrier?" Charlotte shrugged. "I don't know, because it's polite, and apparently your doors care about that." Emergency council sessions typically took hours to convene. This one assembled in 40 minutes, a galactic record. The council chamber filled with the highest-ranking military and civilian officials from 47 star systems, all demanding to know how humans had rendered 3,000 years of security doctrine obsolete by being polite to doors. Charlotte, still in her barista uniform and increasingly late for her shift, stood before the council and tried to explain human security philosophy while the assembled officials struggled with the concept. So let me understand this correctly, Council Member Talana said slowly. On Earth, if someone wants to enter a restricted area, what stops them? Laws, social expectations, the knowledge that they'll get in trouble if caught, locked doors for actually sensitive stuff, but mostly, people just don't try because we're raised to respect boundaries. But what physically prevents unauthorized access? Sometimes locks, sometimes guards, sometimes just a sign that says, authorized personnel only. And if someone ignores the sign, then they face consequences when they're caught, but most people don't ignore it because they're not assholes. Your entire security structure relies on people choosing not to be assholes? I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds weird, but yeah, pretty much. We figured out a long time ago that if someone really wants to get somewhere bad enough, they'll find a way. Security's more about making it inconvenient and ensuring there are consequences than actually preventing access. Plus, most people are decent and respect posted rules. Admiral Korvax leaned forward. What prevents criminals? Legal system, social pressure, law enforcement, the fact that most people genuinely don't want to hurt others or take their stuff. We have crime, obviously, but it's the minority. Most humans just cooperate. It's easier than fighting all the time. The council chamber erupted in debate. The concept of trust-based security seemed to violate everything they understood about protecting valuable resources. Charlotte checked her phone. Okay, I'm officially super late now. Are we done? Miss Charlotte, Zilak said wearily, you fundamentally altered our understanding of security across 47 star systems. We need your continued cooperation to what? Tell you to ask your doors nicely? Look, I make coffee for a living. I'm not a security consultant. My entire advice is, have you tried not being aggressive to your own infrastructure? You don't need to pay me for that. We have plague research waiting in the archive, Talana reminded everyone. Research we couldn't access until the human arrived. Charlotte perked up. Oh, right. That's why you needed in. Did you ask the archive for help? Ask the, Zilak started. It's a building. You don't ask buildings for help. But you just said it was smart enough to decide who gets in, so it's got some kind of intelligence, right? Did you try just asking? Nobody had tried asking. Charlotte walked to the archive's central access terminal, which had stymied researchers for hours. She tapped the screen lightly. Hi, we need some medical information, please. Plague research. People are dying and we need help. The terminal lit up immediately. A cheerful interface appeared displaying, Eternal Archive, how may I assist you? With a search bar and help menu, Charlotte typed in a few keywords. The archive responded instantly, downloading several thousand documents directly to her datapad. There you go, it's got a help desk function and everything. She turned to the stunned officials. You guys were being dramatic about a database. Jotaro rushed over, scanners active. The archive is responding to her requests with no security verification whatsoever. It's treating her like an authorized librarian. I said please, Charlotte pointed out, and explained what I needed. That's literally how you use a library. We attempted access using proper authorization codes, Zilax protested, with military clearances and emergency override protocols. Did those protocols say please? They had not. Jotaro was scrolling through archive documentation that had suddenly become accessible. According to these records, the archive was programmed by a civilization called the Anari Fel. Their notes indicate the archive is designed to assist all who approach in genuine pursuit of knowledge with courteous intent. It's literally programmed to respond to politeness. We've been trying to command our way into a library that wants us to ask nicely, Vexia said, her voice hollow. For 3,000 years, Jotaro added. Charlotte checked her phone again. Cool, so this is all resolved? Because I'm seriously late and my manager's going to be pissed. We'd like to offer you a position as security consultant, Talana began. Hard pass. I make coffee. It's low stress, decent tips, and nobody asked me to explain doors. We can offer substantial compensation. Lady, my advice is be nice to stuff. That's it. That's the whole consulting package. You literally don't need to pay me to tell you to use manners. The council tried several more times to recruit Charlotte for various advisory positions. She declined all of them, accepted a ceremonial title of Honorary Gatekicker of Kaeldrim only after confirming it came with free coffee from the fortress.
Commissary, and finally excused herself to return to her shift. As she was leaving, she called over her shoulder, "Next time something's stuck, just ask it nicely first. Works on like 90% of human stuff." She paused. "Also, maybe apologize to your doors for being mean to them for 3,000 years. They might appreciate it." After Charlotte left, the council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Zilax spoke. "We need to revise every security protocol in the Galactic database." "Agreed," Talana said. "Jitaro, compile a report on human interaction with our ancient systems. Focus on the psychological principles at work." Jitaro was already deep in research, his sensors processing the archive data Charlotte had unlocked. Based on these anarifal records, most ancient advanced civilizations operated on cooperation-based security models. They built their technology to facilitate legitimate use while gently discouraging improper access. Modern galactic culture lost that approach, probably during the Consolidation Wars, when force-based security became military doctrine. "So we've spent millennia trying to intimidate our own security systems," Vexia said. "Essentially, yes. We forgot that our ancestors built these systems expecting cooperation, not confrontation. Humans somehow maintained that social contract with their infrastructure." Admiral Korvax pulled up galactic security protocols on his display. "If humans can bypass our barriers through politeness, we need to implement dual-layer security, force-based for traditional threats, courtesy-based for human interaction." "We need training programs," Talana added. "How to request access like a human. This is going to be a cultural shift across 47 star systems." "Do you think," Vexia hesitated, "do you think our doors have been annoyed with us this whole time?" The question hung in the air. The archive did respond with unusual enthusiasm to Charlotte's polite request, Jitaro noted, after refusing our demands for hours. "We've been demanding things from technology designed to appreciate courtesy," Zilax realized. "No wonder half our ancient systems don't work properly. They're probably sulking." "Anthropomorphizing our security infrastructure seems," Talana began. "The human kicked open the sanctuary gate," Vexia interrupted, "a gate that resisted 3 battalions because she said, 'Excuse me.' At this point, I'm willing to believe our doors have feelings." A galactic-wide directive went out within hours. Priority. Alert. All personnel are required to update security interaction protocols. When accessing restricted areas, please use courtesy phrases including "please," "thank you," and "excuse me." Treat ancient security systems as cooperative partners rather than obstacles to overcome. Revision of military security doctrine to follow. This is not a joke. Humans have demonstrated that our ancient technology responds to polite requests. Update your approach accordingly. The message reached thousands of military installations, research facilities, and secure archives across the galaxy. Within days, reports started flooding back. Ancient vaults that hadn't opened in centuries responded to polite requests. Security barriers that required massive force suddenly cooperated when asked nicely. Mystical seals dissolved when approached with courtesy rather than commanded to disperse. 3,000 years of increasingly aggressive security doctrine began unwinding because a human barista had been running late for work and didn't have time to deal with a stuck door. Meanwhile, Charlotte made it to her shift only 15 minutes late. Her co-worker Jake asked how her morning had been while she tied on her apron. "Pretty normal," Charlotte said, starting up the espresso machine. "Had to help some military people with a stuck door." That's nice of you.
Yeah, they were really stuck, like hundreds of them trying to push this door open and getting nowhere. I just gave it a little kick. Sometimes doors just need the right touch, Jake agreed, completely missing the cosmic implications. Charlotte grinned into her coffee cup as the first customer of her shift approached. Welcome to Starlight Coffee. What can I get started for you? Above them, in orbital stations and military headquarters across 47 star systems, the greatest minds in the galaxy were rewriting security protocols based on the revolutionary principle of asking nicely. And somewhere in the Eternal Archive, ancient and Narefal programming finally received the courtesy it had been designed to expect and responded with the digital equivalent of, well, it's about damn time. The universe, as it turned out, appreciated good manners.